Yes. Good morning and welcome to the webinar of the Social Sciences and Humanities domain of the Open Competition Extra Small Pilot. This morning I will give a presentation about the call for the Open Competition Extra Small. And after the presentation, my colleague will join me and for the Q&A. So if you have any questions today, you can use the Q&A option in the program, and we will collect all your questions and we will provide the answers to your questions at the end after the presentation. So first, I will walk you through the program. My name is Ninja Renks-Kleikamp and I'm here today with the entire team. So our team consists of 4 people. So we have Susie Winkler, who will join me for the Q&A, and we have 2 other colleagues, Lisa and Natasha, who are present, and they will help you out in the chat and Q&A. So if you have any other questions, not per se a question, but a remark or a question about an abbreviation, please let us know in the chat, and our colleagues will help you out. So we are here today to talk about the program of the Open Competition Extra Small Pilot. It's a pilot program because it's the first time we have an extra small program in the SSH domain. We renewed the entire open competition, and now we have an extra small, an M, and a large program. And this is the extra small program. And in the extra small program, we have budget to finance small innovative projects. With these projects, we try to fund something new, a small idea which you would like to try out. So that's the aim of the program, and I will tell you more about exactly what you can ask for and how the procedures of this program will look like. So for this program, we have in total a budget of 12 million euros. So we divided this program into 4 different rounds. And round 1 and round 2 are closed. So right now we have round 3, which is open. The deadline for that round is the 9th of February. And after round 3, we also have round 4. And for each round, we have the same budget, which is 3 million euros, which is approximately can fund up to 60 projects. It's approximately because you can ask for a maximum of 50,000 euros, but not everyone asks for 50,000 euros. So that's why we say approximately 60 projects. So very important, for whom is this call for proposals? Well, this program is for researchers who obtained their PhD 5 to 10 years ago. And the submission deadline of the round you submit your application to is the reference date of your promotion date. So for round 3, you have to have obtained your PhD between the 10th of February 2013 and 8th February 2018, which is very important and changed for round 3 and 4, is that researchers need to have a paid position or a tenure track. And there's now an addition for round 3 and 4, which is also researchers with a temporary appointment, which spans the entire time of the proposed project, may submit an application. So the last type of contract is very important. What does that mean? So you have to look at the timeline and look at your contract date, because you have to look at our timeline to see when we will inform you about the outcome of the round And then within 6 months of that period, after that period, you will need to start up your project. And you may apply for a project of maximum 12 months. So you please look at the timeline and your contract to see for how long your project can take. So how do you submit an application? For your proposal, you need 3 documents. You need an application form, a budget form, and an information form. All these forms are available on our website. And there is a 4th form. If you have a co-financing, you need to also submit a co-financing form. What is good to know is that in the extra small, the application needs to be anonymous. The application form is the only form that will go to the assessors. The budget form and the information form and the co-financing form won't go to the assessors. So all the information of your application, including a small budget information, is part of the application form. And only the application form will be assessed. So the application form. What is really important is that the application is written in English. And more important is the proposal needs to be written anonymously. So what does that mean? Because that's quite a struggle. Normally you write an application which is about the research idea in combination with the person who is going to conduct the research or the research team. That's not the case for an extra small application. The extra small application is really a pitch of the research idea. The research idea is central. You, as the researcher, is completely taken out the application. So we have 4 main guidelines how to write an anonymous proposal. The first one is do not name your own name and do not name the individuals of team members. Also, you may not be very explicit about the expertise of yourself or others in your team, because this might be a conflict of the anonymity. So that's the first one. The second guideline is you may not include the name or any details about your own knowledge institution or the knowledge institution who will be part of your application. The third main guideline, you may not include any publications you have authored or co-authored. So self-referencing is not an option in this application. And there's a fourth main guideline which says you may not name any partners or potential partners in your application. So those are the 4 main guidelines to write an anonymous proposal, which is quite hard. But at the same time, all the others are doing the same thing, so everybody understands the struggle. But you have to keep in mind to pitch your research idea. Another very important part of the application is your proposal needs to be a project which has a duration of maximum of 12 months. So, how to write this proposal? In the application document, you have to keep in mind these 2 assessment aspects, which are really important. So your research idea is central, and you need to elaborate why this idea of yours is so innovative. Because that's the main the main aim of this program, to subsidize projects which are very innovative and will help science a step further. And at the same time, you also have to show the assessors that your idea is feasible. And what does that mean? It needs to be conducted with the budget and in the time frame you mention. For example, you can use a Gantt chart to do so. And you have to show that the objectives of your proposal are really can be manageable within this period of time. And so in your proposal, you really need to elaborate on those two assessment aspects. At the same time, which makes this program very special, is that the applicants are also the assessors. So when you will assess the proposals of the others, you will assess the other proposals based on those two assessment aspects. So the other form we need from you is the budget form. You can ask for a maximum of 50,000 euros. You can ask for personal costs, you can ask for material costs. You can see in the call for proposals which budget modules we have. We have not a lot of budget modules, so we will, and there are not a lot of restrictions, because we would like to facilitate your innovative research project. You cannot ask for funds for a PhD position. You can ask funds for a postdoc position and research leave, and of course material costs. If you have any questions, you can always ask us about the budget. And if you have an own contribution to the project, you will need to also file a co-funding form, which is also accessible on our website. The other form we need from you is the information form. And this is a very important form, because in this form we ask you for a few details. And the most important detail is we ask you in which panel you submit. We have for this program 3 panels. So you submit your application in one of the 6 main disciplines, which are part of the social sciences and humanities domain. And you also list your discipline, your discipline or subdiscipline. So you list your main discipline and your subdiscipline. And based on your main discipline, your application is part of panel 1, panel 2, or panel 3. So how is this process going to look like? Well, you submit the proposal before the deadline, of course. And then we are going to look at your proposal. We're going to see if it meets, if you meet all the criteria to submit an application, and if your application meets all the criteria we set out in the call for proposals. We're also going to look at the suitability. We're going to look at which application is part of which panel, and we will ask you for your conflicts of interest. And based on the conflicts of interest, we are able to divide the received proposals in a group A and a group B per panel. And then we will go to the assessments, and the assessments are done by you, the applicant, and each applicant will receive 10 applications to assess. And we will ask you to assess these applications based on the 2 assessment criteria and to rank those 10 applications. And you may rank the first, the application you think is the best as 1, and then you go down, and then the application you rank at number 10, you find the least best of the batch you have assessed. Afterwards, we receive all the assessments, and then there is a ranking, and we will there's the decision taking based on those ranking. So you, the applicant, will do the assessment. All the assessments are assembled, and only based on your assessments, there will be a final ranking, 6 final rankings, because we have 3 panels, and in each panel 2 groups. So we will have 6 final rankings, and based on those 6 final rankings, this decision will be taken which applications will be granted and which cannot be granted. So to show you, we collect all the applications per panel, and then we divide the applications in a group A and a group B. We do that based on your conflicts of interest. So we will send you a list. For example, you list an application with a discipline with the main discipline in law. So you are part of panel 2. Then you will receive a list of all the applicants of panel 2, and we ask you if you have any conflicts of interest. So you list them in the Excel file you receive from us, and based on each conflict of interest, we divide a group A and a group B. So people who have an excluding conflicts of interest with each other are part of the same group, so they can never assess each other's application. And people you can have a conflict of interest with, but is not that important, can be part of group B, but you will not assess each other's application. So that's how we divide the groups and consider your conflicts of interest. We have, for this round, we have 3 million euros. And we look at each panel, how many applications we received in each panel. And then, na ratio, we divide the budget. And per panel, we divide the budget in 2. So panel of group A has their own budget and group B has their own budget. So therefore group A assesses the applications of group B, and group B assesses the applications of group A. And that's divided also by the budget. So therefore this is possible to assess each other applications. So keep in mind the timeline for round 3 if you want to submit in round 3. The deadline is 9 February 2023 at 2 p.m. The 2 p.m. Deadline is very strict. We cannot include any applications which are received later than 2 o'clock. So we receive the applications, and then we were going to check your application. That's the consideration of the proposal. Then we will send you information to ask you about your conflicts of interest. And then we are able to divide the groups, and we will ask you to, then on the 7th of March, which is an important date, so also mark that one down. It's an important date because then we will send you the information, the 10 proposals you need to assess. And then another important date is in the 21st of March, because that's the deadline to submit your assessments. The assessment is based on a rank, and you also need to elaborate per assessment criteria why you rank this proposal in this way. Afterwards, we have received all the assessment forms. We make the final we can make the final rankings, and we ask our board to decide on which projects can be funded and which cannot be funded. And then around 17th of April, we expect you to send out the outcome of the decision making. So within 6 months after the formal approval of your project, so you can say from half April, and then within 6 months your project needs to start if your project is granted, and your project cannot take longer than 12 months. So in the extra small we have 4 rounds. Round 1 and round 2 are already closed. The outcome of round 2 will be at the end of, well, now we think the decision is anticipated by the 6th of February. I think we can let the applicants know a bit earlier what the outcome will be. And the new deadline for round 3 is the 9th of February, and the deadline for round 4 is the 20th of April. So thank you. If you have any questions, you can use the Q&A for your questions, and my colleague will join me so we can discuss your questions and provide the answers for you. If you have a more personal question and you don't want to ask your question right now, please mail us and then we'll come back to you with a personalized answer.